Hello, everybody. You cannot see me yet, but I am here, just about to appear on your screens. There we go. Boom. Awesome. It's really great to be here. Hello, everyone. My name is Alina. I am a community social media manager for KeokeN Interactive. Today, we have one of our industry talks, and I am joined by Jill, KeokeN lead animator. Hey, Jill. And I'm also joined by Stefan, senior product manager at Xsens Movella. Right? Did I get that right?
Product specialist, almost right.
Product specialist, almost right. I apologize, product specialist. Sorry. Today we are here. How are you guys doing? How's life? How have you been?
All good.
I'm doing
it's all good.
Well.
Ready?
The sun is shining, so that's always.
The sun is shining. Not for me anymore. It's almost 8 p.m. here, so no sun for me. The moon is shining though. So are you ready to talk about some motion capture and especially the Xsens technology? Because I am super eager to learn about it, how it works, what it does, where it can be used. So I'm going to ask in a lot of questions today, and both of you are going to educate me on that. But before we begin, Stefan, can you tell us a little bit about the Xsens Movella? Because I know that you've been working for the company for over, for 11 years now, right? Yeah, so can you please tell us a little bit about the history of the company? How come that you started making the motion capture technology?
Yeah, so Xsens was founded in 2000 by two students that spun off from the Technical University of Twente, which is pretty much across the road from our office. They started with single sensor tracking, so mainly for industrial markets like unmanned vehicles, drones, camera stabilization, you name it. Eventually, they, after a couple of years, because they have a biomechanical background, they wanted to track limbs for ergonomics. They started with an arm and or a leg, and we actually got asked by the entertainment industry, hey, if you can do an arm, why can't you do a full body? So that kind of developed itself into the systems that we have now. So in 2006, we launched our first version of the suit, and we're now currently at our fourth iteration. So yeah.
Fourth iteration, and that's the one, Jill, that we at KeokeN office have been using lately, right? So can you tell us a little bit about what we at KeokeN do and why and in which way did we use the Xsens suit?
Yes, of course. So we're at KeokeN here. We are on our second installment of a game called Deliver Us Mars. And for Deliver Us the Moon, we first had a lot of keyframe animations. So we leaned heavy on working on those small separate animations for a long period of time. So for the second installment, we actually were looking for a faster way to sort of be able to iterate, because when we took too long for a certain animation, you know, you just know that at some point you have to stick to that animation, and like the suit just gives us so much more flexibility in that term. So we can just play around with idles, you know, jump animations, walk animations. It's really the best solution for us right now.
Yeah, it's a lot of people, when they think a motion capture suit, right? They think about the suit with the white tracking dots all over it. Does Xsens suit look this way, or does it look different? And does it work the same way? Is the key, my main question here.
No, in principle, so these are two totally different motion capture systems. They're kind of the opposite of each other. So an optical studio, what you're referring to with the white balls, is nothing more than an array of cameras around the capture volume that with infrared is able to see the reflections of these reflective markers. And then it triangulates by looking at those markers of where they are in that given space. So that's what we call outside-in tracking. Now what we do is inside-out tracking. So we track from the body outwards. So what we have is 17 trackers that contain gyroscopes for orientation, magnetometers for looking at where Earth's magnetic north is, and accelerometers to check what the gravity point is. And with that, we get orientation, drift-free data out of that. We plot that onto our biomechanical model, and then we can translate into our space.
That sounds very impressive. A lot of new words, a lot of new vocabulary there for me as well too. So I think there is basically the one with the white dots. It's called optical, right? Because there are cameras around that are basically filming and getting the position of the person wearing it. Whereas the Xsens motion capture suit is more of the inertia because it reads out the way the body is moving. Jill, we've been talking about the motion capture that we've done for Deliver Us Mars, right? Because do I understand that we've used both?
Yes,
both types of it.
We have both solutions in place, but for our gameplay section, we heavily lean on the suit because it leaves us for like I said previously, it's like the iteration process. It's and like it's cost heavy. Like you have to pay for like an hour if you're in a big room with all these cameras, so that takes, you know, money wise. And like with the suit you can just put it on and you can just play, iterate. So like for example, we work in our office here, and we shoot also in this office, but we don't always have like the 3D objects in real life at our disposal. So what we do is to sort of measure out like the environment and making sure that the animations kind of fit for the scene. We kind of play with the suit and see like what works. So this whole iterative process is very embedded in our pipeline, and that's where the suit comes in very nicely, because you can just, you know, put one of our colleagues in there and we can just play around. So that's something, yeah.
We always had a nice slogan about that, especially back in the days. We always said that idea in the morning, in-game in the evening. Yeah,
that's basically how it works for us too.
Yeah.
So would you say that it is possible to, a little bit wild question here, feel free to correct me, would it be possible for a gaming company, because we're talking about games here, to completely record all of the animations using just the Xsens inertial suit, not having to book this giant mocap or PCAP as they call it now studio? Is it possible? Can that be done?
Absolutely.
So how much of a space do you need, a minimum, to be able to record stuff wearing the Xsens motion capture suit?
Well, it kind of depends on the motions, but in principle, 1 square meter is enough. And it really, I mean, we've had clients, for example, a very good friend of ours, Simon Kay from Double Negative. He did mocap from his bedroom through the hallway, and he reenacted the entire Matrix scene as like a hobby project on his own. But yeah, I mean, for us, the mocap studio is the world, literally. You can do mocap everywhere. We have people jump out of airplanes. I mean, you can make it as crazy as you want.
Yeah, like
that sounds amazing, to be honest. Yeah, Jill.
To jump on that bandwagon as well, I'm like, a night story just popped up. Like, I literally just asked the boss like a year ago, like, hypothetically, if it were to, you know, happen, and because the entire pandemic and whatnot, right? Is like I couldn't work in the office, so I said, like, hypothetically, boss, can I take the suit with me home so I can shoot animation, so I can just keep working, right? And this is where I think is also a big, strong suit for the suit. No pun intended, but well. Is that you can just grab it, just take it on, put it on, you know, get your markers ready, place the router, link everything up, hear the nice cute beat, which is really cool. Yes. And it's you can just go, and then it just depends on how much you want to hurt your actor, how cramped of a space you want to work in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think that I mean, we saw that during the pandemic a lot. I mean, most of the game and film studios that still had to do mocap. They just ordered suits but got them shipped to house addresses. So that really showcases the flexibility of the system and not having to care where you do your mocap.
I love the sound of that. So basically the Xsens motion capture, so the inertia one, it basically allowed all of the animators to kind of become the motion capture actors and be able to record that from home as well. Since we're talking about how to use that, because basically what you're saying is that anyone can get a suit and then record animations with that, right? Even I or my friends or, you know, anyone out there. So let's talk about how this thing works. We have a beautiful scene where we show a little bit of the process of how it is done so that people have an idea of what it looks like. Julia, please take us there to the scene. So first of all, what do people need? So of course it is obviously the suit. You can also see a suit in a beautiful case right next to Jill, to the left from Jill as you look at now, but Jill, on your right, there we go. It looks amazing. On a video there, you see a little bit of the process. This is what the suit looks like to me. It's super stylish. I could honestly wear that outside to just kind of rock it out there in fashion. Kind of makes it look very superhero-like as well too. So we require a suit, and then what else does one need to create animations using Xsens technology?
Yeah, so in principle we have two different types of systems. We have what you see on screen right now is called the MVN Link, which is what we call the cabled system. So what happens there is we have 17 trackers on body, which are wired to a body pack, which transmits all the data through Wi-Fi, either 2.4 or 5 gigahertz. And we have a simple ASUS access point that we deliver with the system. And you obviously need our software to capture the motions from that. Next to that, we have the MVN Awinda system as well, which is fully wireless, but has in that sense some limitations. So battery-wise, range-wise, things like that. But in principle, that is pretty much everything you need. You need one of our systems, you need our software, and you need a pretty decent laptop. It's not even, you don't have to have like the biggest Alienware or something like that. Usually pretty regular office desktop or laptops work fairly well. And especially within the game industry, everybody has a beefed up laptop anyway. So.
Jill, for you, did it take you a long time to learn how to use the suit? How was the process for you as the person who was using it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it didn't take time at all. Like, it was very easy. Like, we got like the case with everything in there, and I believe even on like a drive or a little stick comes data, and also just a nice link to the web page where everything like is explained. So no, it like I think jumping in the suit was a harder process than getting all of this hooked up. Yeah. If you at least know what a router is, you know, and stuff like that, and a modem or just your basic internet needs, and then you're good to go. Yeah.
Actually, the website with the videos made me famous in that sense. So.
Ooh, so people see you on the website, kind of.
I think for
people.
90% of the videos contain my face.
We have a celebrity on this industry talk, and nobody told me. I would have learned something different. I wish people told me about that. It's really, really, really great. No, honestly, it's great to have you. So since this is kind of like easy to set up, it's an important question for those, because there was even an option for me while I was in the office to be in the suit, but I was kind of like, but I have no idea, how am I going to move? Like, am I going to move right? Are all of a sudden my action's going to be like super stiff? Does one need to be an actor? Does one need to have an acting skills to be able to record animation, whether it's in the suit or, you know, just in general, judging from both of your experience, you, Jill, and you, Stefan, as well too?
Yeah, so for me personally, it comes a long way for the performance. However, I think the biggest trouble that you will come across with wearing in the suit is not so much a trouble, but it's like getting used to this suit. So you really have to set your mind apart from the fact that you are acting, because you can definitely tell once you're recording that you are acting. But the suit is really accurate in like recording all of the motions. So being able to relax is my biggest advice when you're starting out on these things, because otherwise you can just see that you're like standing stiff. I mean, so just relax and let the suit do its work, because you can rely on it. Yeah.
Yeah, I can concur. And I mean, if you look at mocap per se, I mean, there are more and more mocap actor studios or schools popping up as well. So, I mean, again, it boils down to whatever it is that you want to achieve. But I think method acting in the mocap world is getting bigger and bigger. But it's really understanding what you can do with the mocap suit and what you can do. And yeah, what Jill says, I mean, it captures all the minute details, and even just acting normal is already acting, right?
Okay, so everybody's got a chance to be a motion capture actor, even me. I just gotta try not to think about it. Wish that I was wearing the Xsens suit now to have an animation of me having this podcast. That would be great. We have a
fun thing to add to that. I'm so sorry, Alina. It's actually at some point I was recording, and after the recording was done, like it was all fine and dandy, but I forgot to hit the stop button. So I went to my desk and I was starting to work, typing to colleagues, and then I looked over to my second screen and I see the recording was still going. So I stopped, and accidentally we recorded a office desk animation which we could use. So that's like, it's easy as that. And the fun fact is, because I didn't know, it was very natural. So yeah.
So the best way to just like somebody comes in, you just say, hey, look at this really good superhero suit. This is kind of like our office attire for the day. Wear it for the rest of the day, and then that's it. And you secretly just like film these people do animation. And this is how you get the most natural way for people movement, because they don't realize that they're actually being recorded.
Yeah.
Ooh, this is mesmerizing to me. My mind takes me places to all of the possibilities that this could be used in. I really love it. We have a question coming from one of our viewers. How long does it take to do all this normally? I think they mean, how long does it take to set up the suit, record the animation, and then export it for usage? Is it a long process?
Well, I think that's better for Jill to answer, because I mean, I know it, but I think Jill is a user, so in that sense, it's always better for her to answer this.
Well, for me, it's basically it's just getting familiar with the contents that are inside. But I think you can get it set up within half an hour. For me, it just takes 15 minutes now, because I just I set everything in its place, and I'm good to go. Software is also super fast to load. Our solutions also require some internet, so it really depends if your internet's stable or not. But other than that, I think everything is just super, super easy and quick to set up. That's yeah.
And there is another question in chat as well that kind of correlates to the question that I was about to ask anyway. Does it get hot in a suit? Do people sweat? How hot does it get in it?
Well, if you want to burn calories, then I can advise to get into the suit. I mean, the suit itself isn't as hard. Like, there's a battery pack on the back that can get a little bit hot. But other than that, it's more the exercise that you do is what's making it, become really steamy. Yeah. But that's it.
So the reason I asked it is because how does the whole cleanup work? Because if the suit is used a lot, if this is something that you wear, especially if you do something like a scene where you have to run or jump or move a lot, right? There is obviously some sweat. How difficult is it to clean it up? Can you just throw it into a washing machine and then get back out?
Yeah, we have proper washing instructions on our website. But yes, no, I mean, what Jill mentions, she goes into the suit in 15 minutes, and that is actually first starting off with the Lycra suit, then placing the trackers inside the suit, stuff like that. So, I mean, if you have multiple Lycra suits, that makes life easier because then you can wash one and use the other one. But in that sense, no, it is really simple. You just throw the suit in the washing machine. Don't put it to 30 degrees. Never thought I would give washing instructions on the stream, but
there we
so 30
are.
degrees, yeah. So, and no tumble dry, so that's very important. But other than that, it's very simple.
I guess the reason I'm asking that is because how much of a maintenance is it to have one and take care of one and make sure it's like in a working conditions? Jill is actually taking a look into it right now. Oh, I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. It does look... Hi, Julia. Yeah, so maintenance is not that difficult, right?
No, it's straightforward. It's really straightforward. It's just like washing your own clothes. You wash them regularly, I would say, after preferably every mocap session. Unless you really don't sweat, you can obviously put it on for a second time. But yeah, it's no hocus pocus.
I love it. To me, it honestly looks like a superhero costume. Honestly, the one that tracks things. So there is not just the suit, because I know that there can be add-ons, right? That can be added to the suit as well. Like for instance, we have the Maina's gloves, right? Jill, can you talk a little bit about that? Because I think you are the person suitable for the position.
Awesome. Yeah. So on the technical side of like whatever is going on inside the gloves, it's a little bit more harder, but basically it boils down to the same things that are happening with the suit. So it's kind of, there are sensors inside that can track the movement of your fingers. So it knows exactly how much degrees your fingers are bending. So it's just like the suit. It's a very easy process. You just pop it open. Make sure that in this nice slot, the tracker of the suit is inserted so it can also track your wrist movement. Pop it on, open the software, and then just have it work and listen.
And then there are already trackers. There are already trackers in the fingers as well too, right? Or is it just the hand?
Trackers here, everywhere. Yeah, fingers.
Oh.
Yeah.
Everywhere. Don't give us the middle finger job. I love it. So mean. It's okay. You could. It's all good. So you can add those. What are the things you can add to the suit to make it like a full, complete kind of thing? Like, I guess I'm trying to say it's like, how on point can you get with the little details and animating of different body parts?
Yeah, so it kind of depends. So what we try to do with our software is we try to be as flexible and cooperate with as much companies as we can. So what Jill is showing as an example is the Manus gloves. We also support Stretch and Stream, which are also a glove company. Next to that, we have within our stream trigger capabilities for the faceware head mount. So you can do facial tracking as well. Obviously, you can use your iPhone for facial tracking as well these days. I mean, we pretty much hook up into everything. If not in our software, it will be in either Unreal, what you guys are using, or any other game engine in that sense. So you can bring everything together. So we see that more and more people. That's why we decided to also start or partnering up with Manus to start selling gloves with our setup as well, because we see clients, they want to have a one-stop shop. They want to have a full performance capture right from the get-go.
All right, so it's basically the one software that supports all of the different add-ons, right? From gloves to facial recognitions done with iPhones and everything.
Yeah, so facial in that sense is being combined in third-party software afterwards.
Okay.
For faceware, we do add the triggering part, so stop recording, things like that.
Oh, awesome. That is great how technology these days pretty much allows you to do something this complex in using something. I don't want to say easy, because obviously it's technology and a lot of hard work that went into it, but it makes, Jill, would you say that it kind of makes life of animators easy these days? Or easier than it used to be before?
Well, like I said, the creative process sort of goes from working with the hands and then like manually editing the character to acting it out. It makes it easier in that sense, and it makes it also more fun because you yourself are the puppet, and that's way more fun than moving around a few controllers. I think most animators can attest to that.
Right. I'm gonna move to another topic as well, because obviously we're talking about video games here, right? That's where motion capture is used a lot. Where else can the Xsens technology, the motion capture technology, where else can it be used? What are some of the I don't want to say real life, because making video games is also real life, but what is more of the something that benefits maybe humans in our everyday life, real life? Where else can this technology be used and is used these days?
Yeah. So I think we kind of split it up in two markets. So we have the entertainment market, which is obviously game, film, live entertainment these days, big shows or virtual YouTubers. But next to that, we have our health and sports segments as well. So you can imagine that for sports, we have athletes that do specific trainings. In our suit, you could analyze that data and see, hey, where could I gain more speed or change my workout to improve myself, but also on the rehabilitation side. So an athlete might get injured. By doing certain exercises with our suits, they can run that through specific programs and see, hey, are you already fit to go back on the field, or should you still rehabilitate in that sense? And not only for sports, that's also for back injuries, you name it. And for research, we see a lot. To give you an example, ergonomics research. So people in factory lines, they wear the suit, they do whatever they need to do on that factory line, and they look at the data and see, hey, you're actually putting your arm up a lot. Could we improve that to prevent you getting either injury or going on sick leave, things like that, but also for validating specific things like factory lines. So if a car manufacturer wants to build an entirely new manufacturing line, they want to know, does this manufacturing line work for the person that needs to stand there and work on that line? So they could virtually actually already test out the whole thing before actually implementing and building it, which in the end saves millions and millions of dollars.
That sounds so fascinating to me, because I never thought that something as a motion capture suit can help somebody heal, can help a sports person to get better, can help a business or industry provide better conditions for their employees as well too.
Absolutely.
And here we are just using this suit to act as monkeys. It's great.
I mean, what we use the suit for is it's to bring people entertainment and to help them, enjoy the games anyways. I mean, it's also like very good use. Stefan, what's the, I'm not sure, were they situations, I want to say, I don't want to use the word ridiculous, but what's the funniest way the Xsens suit has ever been used to create something? Can you recall something like that? Was like a case where you've learned about like, hey, we created this using the Xsens suit, and you looked at it and it blew your mind in a way because it was just absolutely fascinating or ridiculous or silly?
Well, I mean, there are so many cool things that can be done. I can't immediately recall something that was really funny. I mean, I've seen a lot of funny things throughout these years, obviously. One of the coolest things that I did see, which actually sparked my enthusiasm a lot, is, I mean, we know kind of which markets we want to serve, right? But there are always clients or universities or people that do stuff with our suits, which we are mind blown by, and which I love, because that kind of sparks you to improve the system even more. So what we had was a university from, I think, in the Netherlands and the UK somewhere, was a collaboration. What they did with our suit was they actually created a lie detector from the suit, which in fact was more accurate than the well-known polygraph. So that's like, how do you even think of something like that? But they did it, and I think they were even on national TV in the Netherlands, and so those are fun things to see. Like, yeah, I've never really thought about that, but it's cool that it actually can be done with our suit, right?
It is really so basically people can take the technology, right, and then they can even program on top of that, and then they can use the sensors to kind of like see and create whatever kind of science, video games and science and everything.
I mean, we give data and do whatever with the data that you want. It's either in game or do something totally different, like a lie detector or whatever you want.
Right. Jill, I want to ask you, I know there was a really funny story when you were recording Sander in a suit of an animation that happened by accident, but actually was good. Because you told us about yours, whether you were working and it recorded yourself, which was good. There was another one involving Sander.
Yeah, so we have a few colleagues with very interesting characteristics, and Sander has one thing that he always does, which is very funny, and this just also goes to show the strength of this suit, because it was very easy and quick. So we were done with our recordings, and at some point I was like, well, Sander, can you just do that one thing that you always do? And he did it, and I was like, okay, we got that. We can use this as an Easter egg somewhere. And it's just fun. Yeah.
So somewhere there's going to be an Easter egg, and you're going to be looking for that one particular animation for you to look at, and then you're going to know, ooh, that is the one done with the accent suit. We're not going to tell anyone though, because it's an Easter egg, right? It's supposed to be hidden, but I'm going to be looking for it. It's a secret. Secrets. We are not. We're not gonna tell them. We're not gonna tell them. We're sorry. No, you'll have to look for it, because we love placing Easter eggs in our games, don't we, Joe? It's just a thing that we do. Stefan, what is you already doing so great with the suits, allowing companies to animate stuff even from home. All of the sports and healthcare usage. Is there anything cool that's planned for Movella and Xsens in the future? Something that you can talk about, maybe some ideas, something for all of us to look forward to, for the companies, game developing companies, non-game developing companies, universities to look forward to, something exciting coming up?
Yeah. Well, I don't think I can talk a lot about things that we are currently working on, obviously, because that's secret on our side. But yeah, so what we try to aim and do is we really try to listen to the market, where the market will bring us. We listen to clients, what kind of things are you bumping into? So what we've done throughout the last years, and the things that you can actually see within our software, and also with the fairly new Motion Cloud. We have magnetic immunity, which was a really big deal back in the days, because we are the only company that is capable of doing that, which gives clients the freedom of doing mocap everywhere. They don't have to think about, hey, will it work in this environment or not? Next to that, we have our HD reprocessing engine, which actually by one press of the button, it cleans a lot of the data up for you, and which is incredibly powerful, because that gives the animator the time to not focus on cleaning up the data, but actually enriching the data and making it even better, which, we all know time is money. So the less time you have to spend on things you don't want to spend your time on, the more time you have left for the good stuff. And obviously the Motion Cloud, which gives clients the freedom to just throw in all the data they want, and they get it out fairly easily, HD fully reprocessed and stuff like that. And yeah, with these features, we always obviously try to improve those. We know that there is definitely some things where we can improve on, for example, our shoulder models, and maybe even filtering specific things out even better than we already do. So we always try to improve on that side. But yeah, definitely keep a lookout for everything that we post on Instagram, and what platforms that we use for all the cool features that are coming up as well.
Looking forward to them. Jill, I have a question for you, and then also Stefan, eventually for you as well. Since we were talking about the future stuff for the Xsens and Movella, what do you think the future of the motion capture, performance capture looks like? Because the industry grows, the technology advances, they grow as well. What's the future going to be like? What we use right now, do you think it's the ceiling, or are there ways of improvement? Will there be potentially something cooler, some other way to do that, to do motion capture, to do performance capture?
Right. That's a hefty question, I would say. But it's not something that I can 100% answer as well. But yeah, I think we're not here yet. I think we can go a lot further. But I think the solution as is right now is already as close as I need it to be. Mm-hmm. I think what for the future is one of the things is important to look for is, I think, the ingestion of AI, things like that, to help further get even the processing and whatever you need, there. But in terms of just setting everything up right now, I'm quite satisfied. Maybe because I'm always really, really scared to break anything. So if there are more like points of reassurance in the, I mean, it can take a lot. So, but still, you're in a suit, so you cannot just go crazy. But
we always say, as long as you protect the person inside the suit, don't worry about the rest.
Oh, that's actually good to know.
Yeah.
There we go, Jill. Tomorrow, Jill is like breaking the entire office in that suit. I'm going, I am safe. I don't care about everything else. Stefan, tell me I can.
I think
kicks the flower pot.
Yeah, I think I have to then explain a few things to my significant other when I get home, like all bruised. Like, it was a good day.
That's what a good day at work looks like. Yes. Yes, Stefan, I'm sorry I interrupted you. Yeah, so in terms of what Jill said, in terms of improvement, in terms of where it's going to be in a couple of years.
Yeah, I think, it's always hard to determine. I think what Jill says, AI might be a big role in the future. I think what Unreal is doing as well, with their tool sets and stuff like that, that will bring it further and further as well. And again, we can always improve on our system. We always look at different technology as well. We might all suddenly jump to something else if we see, hey, this will work a lot better for us. For now, this is what we have, and I think we can still build upon what we already have. But you have several things. You still have optical. You never know what they will do. You have inertial. These times you have markerless camera base as well, wherein with an iPhone and a depth camera, you can do some mocap as well. That might evolve also, but I think it's always finding a balance on what you want to do. And I think with a system like ours, it is really the flexibility and not having to think of where you want to do mocap versus specific pros that an optical system has, for example, or pros that a different camera-based system might have.
Yeah. What I also like is about Xsens is that you never shy away of like always improving your game. Because I've had prior experience with Xsens and from 2014, and just thinking back at that process back then and to now that we have the suit, so version 4 is like also a big difference. So it, like, you guys never sit still, so that's always also good to know, from a product. Like at some point you guys keep growing, so whenever there's a new product, you can expect there's like a lot of new great changes that can make your life easier. Yeah.
I have a super cool question from chat. Could you use multiple suits at the same time, like in a mocap stage, when you use the Xsens technology?
Yeah, so currently we support up to 4 systems simultaneously in the software. There are a couple of limitations that you would have to take into account. So to get back to an optical studio, they know everything about position. We know absolutely nothing about position. So during the calibration process, we determine where you are in space. So that will be 0y, 0x, and then once you start moving, you translate into position. Now we make minor errors during those measurements. So having multiple suits, that will obviously add up to the error. And the error is not drift over time. It is drift over distance, because if you would stand still for an hour, you would still be on that same spot. And there is where we also look into, hey, how can we improve that? And that's where we introduced the HTC Vive system that works within our software as well, where you can add cameras to cope with that positional drift as well. So if you do multiple actors at the same time and you really want to physically interact with each other, then it's important to think of those things as well. But I mean, another fun story is if you look at the latest FIFA games, they were done with 22 of our suits at the same time doing a full soccer match all at once. It is not live on screen, so what the system that you guys have is a link system, is also capable of doing recordings on body. So in that sense, you're pretty much limitless in how many people you want to use during a full mocap session.
That is impressive. I just imagine 22 football players running together in suits, recording all of the movements. Now that's a lot of motion capture suits laundry for whoever was taking care of
that. I don't want to be that guy. No soccer players.
We mentioned AI. Jill mentioned AI, right? Stefan, you mentioned AI. People in chat are mentioning AI, and it says coming soon. AI-generated games. Is it possible to teach an AI by performing various actions wearing a motion capture suit, like for instance the Xsens one? So you teach it actions and like you do things and it learns and it records from you for a long period of time, that eventually you don't have to have an actor anymore. You don't have to wear a suit anymore, because there is this AI there for you that you just tell that put in there like wash dishes or cry about I don't know, cry about a broken plate, that, you know, or anything about that. Is that possible? Is that something that can come in the future, or do we need a human iteration, human factor to create that?
I think it will come. It depends on how good it will be. I think you really need that human nuances, which AI will probably, at least not from the get-go, is able to reenact. Depending on whatever you want to do with that data. I mean, if you need like crowd simulations, for example, it might actually work really well. But if you want to have a cinematic where you want to have those specific movements of that character, then who knows, maybe in 10, 20 years, but I think that will be quite far from now.
Yeah, so also what I feel like people think about AI is like it's sort of a total takeover. And I feel like AI has always been really great as a tool. You can see artists use it for their concept art and not like directly using it, but drawing inspiration from it. And I kind of feel like AI could benefit for animation as well in that sense. So you can use it as a tool to create animations and make it work, but not as a one button click and AI makes animations and it sort of does everything for you. I kind of feel like, at least for the foreseeable future, I'm not out of a job, at least. Fingers crossed.
Well, everybody thought that we would put animators out of a job, and that never happened. So
That brings me to another question, because we are jumping from the AI to the group thing, but my mind takes me places with this amazing conversation that I purely enjoy. So let's say that when you have two actors interacting with each other, I think this kind of question to Jill as well too, there is always a place for like a little error, right? It cannot be 100% precise. It cannot 100% do everything ideal and everything. And this is where the animators come in, right? Because then you have to manually correct some things. Do I understand that right?
Yes, like 99% understand it correctly. There's like with the suit, it's actually one of the benefits of the suit actually is that the position of your character is always the same, because before you start animating, you also measure up the actor. So you get a really nice, like, I was kind of surprised that it was in the box. You have this measuring line tape thing, which you use to measure your actor, and then you put in all the values into the system. So you actually have your actor one-to-one, and then whenever you sort of play out whatever you want to do, then it just works. With optical right now, that I've, at least from my experience, I've learned is that there can be a lot of obscuring. So whenever you have a hugging scene, for example, the markers on the on the belly, or whatever you need to track on the belly, they can get obscured, and then the cameras just don't know what to do. With the suit, you don't have that limitation, because it's the other way around, right? Like Stefan explained. That's what I think is really great about the inertial thing. So I hope that answered your question. If there's...
Yeah, it did. But now I have a question that I think Stefan partially answered as well too, because there is a way. Is there a way to combine both? Is it a way to have optical markers on the inertia suit and record both at the same time and combine it? Would that eliminate everything that like one would substitute for another? Wouldn't that provide for like a super ideal PCAP motion cap?
Well, in principle, yes, you could do that. We don't do that currently, but we are always looking with our software into, hey, could we add multiple systems to cope with our shortcomings? And that could indeed be an optical studio, because we know their accuracy is really good in position. Our accuracy is really good in orientation. Then combine both, which we are pretty much already doing with the HTC Vive system. But that again also has limitations in the sense of you can't make the volume too big, you can't bring it outdoors in that sense. But yeah, I mean, pretty much you could combine everything. It's the question, do you want that within our software, or will you do that in third-party software afterwards?
I love that. So everything is possible. So it's basically where the creativity and the engineering genius and the combining the hardware and the software takes you, really.
Yeah, the sky's the limit.
All right. I have a little bit of a personal question, but I'm gonna leave it for later. Stefan, what's your favorite project that has been done with the Xsens motion capture suit?
Well, I think I was actually thinking of this a bit, and I personally, one of the coolest projects there are, I guess, two. One of them was my very first project. It was a shoot in LA. And it's kind of a funny story, because I worked at Xsens for 2 months, right? I never flew in my life. I mean, I've been in Europe, a few countries, but that was about it. And my colleague comes to me on a Monday and he says, "You're flying to LA on Wednesday." And I was like, okay. So who's gonna join me? No, you're gonna go on your own. I was like, okay. So yeah, that was pretty nerve-wracking. Everything went well, luckily, but that was for, we had to do, so I got a crash course in a system which we sold at that time, which was called Motion Grid. It's like some sort of indoor GPS kind of system. But that was for, we had to do a test shoot with 20th Century Fox for the movie Wolverine.
Ooh.
which was really good because that for me was like an introduction in the movie scene and how that works. And we had the director coming over. We had a couple of guys that did the mocap that were really good at mocap acting. They were actually focused on games. Normally they had to dumb it down a little bit because we was really like pumping his chest, envisioning the breathing stuff. And that was, I mean, I barely knew the system. I mean, I was with Xsens for 2 months, and they had like harnesses around the guys, had them up on ropes, and they were reenacting like the Silver Samurai scene, where the Silver Samurai grabs Wolverine and he starts throwing the guy around, and they literally did that in the studio. And I was like, oh, this is gonna break. This is gonna break. But no, I loved that, especially for the experience, because you've never flown, you get introduced into that industry, all those things. And I think one of the coolest things that I kind of brag with, especially to my coworkers, is we had to help out EA Games with a shoot with Lionel Messi years ago for FIFA 2016. And I'm not a football fan. I pretty much couldn't care less, but they wanted one of our product specialists on sets, blah blah blah. So I had to fly into Barcelona. They didn't want to say who it was, so it was like either Ronaldo or Messi. Ended up being Messi, so I touched him, and I have a lot of football fan colleagues that are pretty jealous in that sense. So that's always a fun story to add as well.
So whenever you're thinking about getting a job into the motion caption company that creates motion caption suit, you never think that you would be able to say it, but it might put you in a position where you can say, I touched Lionel Messi. And it's just like, just a normal day of work. Yeah. I mean, before that, I was office, right? just another day at the office.
There are a lot of markers on the suit, so I don't know.
I need to take a long time. No, but that indeed that makes that fun. You meet. I mean, I love the entertainment industry, especially because it is one big family. I mean, if you go to trade shows, stuff like that, you always meet the same people again. It's always fun and laughter. And I think that keeps me in this industry as well. I mean, when I did my studies, my goal was to eventually work at Epic Games. I kind of left that because I just don't have the talent to get to that quality. But now I'm in contact with the guys from Epic, so things like that. So that makes work a lot of fun.
It sounds like a. I'm not gonna say I'm jealous, but maybe just a little bit. I'm, just of the experience, seeing all of the cool things, touching a certain football player. Anyways, I have to, because we're here obviously with games, and you've talked how you like the entertainment. Are you a gamer, Stefan? Do you play video games a lot?
Currently, no, but that's due to having 2 daughters and having to spend my time with them, obviously. But no, I've been a gamer. The studies I did was graphical design, did IT. Worked in construction for 2.5 years because my dad is a contractor, and then decided, hey, do I want to do this for the rest of my life, or do I want to do something else? So I actually studied game development, and then ended up at Xsens. So yeah, I gamed a lot. We still do LAN parties with our friends, and but it's more on a casual thing,
It's more of a casual thing. So what would you say is your favorite games of all times?
I think Half-Life is definitely in my top 5. Zelda games are always really good. And I still always grab back to Unreal Tournament.
So many hours spent in Unreal Tournament. So many hours. Love it. Jill, as for you, I have the question modified a little bit. What is your favorite game in terms of something that you play yourself, something that you are absolutely loved? And then, Jill, you're an animator. So what is your favorite game in terms of the animation? Something that you admire and you look at it and you say, wow, this is a job well done.
Awesome. Okay, so for the first question, it's a really, really niche game, but I'm going to try to pronounce it right. Panzer Dragoon Saga, which is a very, 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 very old game, 97, for the Sega Saturn. It's a RPG, but you can jump on a dragon, and I like dragons, so it was very easy. But it's closely followed by Shadow of the Colossus, which is, I think, one of the most amazing games I've ever played. And then for the second question, in terms of, sorry, you wanna, Stefan?
No, continue.
From an animation side perspective, I've always like. I mean, it's getting more dated now, but I really like the Jak and Daxter games. Even though some like the cinematics can be a little bit more like over exaggerated, but I like recently Ratchet and Clank came out. And I really like those games, like the Spider-Man games. They're all like really cool, like how you actually have the enjoyment of, the freedom of being Spider-Man. I think that's really something they've captured really well. And there are a ton of other games, like Shadow of the Colossus also, like for the feeling of weight and actually loneliness within that world, but also still being able to learn so much from that environment. It's just, from that game, I can talk like for hours, but I'll just stop right here.
I love that. Stephanie wanted to add something to it, yes.
Yeah, I just thought of one game that actually blew my mind as well, which was Hellblade. Which I thought it was, the full package. It was the audio, it was the visuals, it was the vocab, pretty much everything. They actually did some work with. I mean, they did the live demo on FMX and SIGGRAPH with our suit at the time, but that was like spot on. One of the that's definitely in my top 5 as well.
All of the great games. I just love asking this question because I myself am a huge gamer, but I also am mostly the host. I'm the one who asks questions. I'm the one who is learning about gaming industry as I work. I've always been curious about it. And I love asking people in the industry, what is their favorite game? What is their favorite project? Because obviously whenever you people play video games, you have to notice things I don't. Because of your work, because of the things that you've seen, because of your profession, because of your profound knowledge of how things are done. This is why I love asking those sort of questions. Before we finish, there is a final topic in case we are being watched by the game developers, indie studios, because we do have friends, Emma and couple. So what would your advice be, yours, Jill, as the person who uses it, yours, Stefan, as the person who works for the company, who makes it, provides the service? What is the advice for the indie game devs or just game devs who are thinking about of using or buying the Xsens suit, for instance? Maybe somebody who's making their first game, for instance, and are thinking of using that. What would your advice be for them?
Wanna go first, or?
Yeah, I think it's don't shy away from us. I mean, always contact our sales department. We can always set up demos explaining what the system can do for you. I mean, as Jill mentioned as well, it's really simple and easy to use. And yeah, you need to get acquainted with it. But it's such a fun tool to use, and it will bring your whatever project you're making it might bring it to the next level and make your life a lot easier. And there are always companies in the neighborhood. I mean, we get more and more clients in the Netherlands as well. Just drop by either one of our clients and just take a look at it. I think that we always say seeing is believing. And I think that's the most important thing. And you can always visit us at headquarters in Enschede in the Netherlands, or in one of our offices worldwide. to just see what it does and what it could mean for you, because yeah, it's just a cool tool to have.
Yeah, and also just definitely just be on a lookout for where you guys are at, because I think I've also seen you and your colleagues at a few demo moments. So like if you're in the indie dev scene, definitely just check out where you guys are at, because I actually saw you then like there, and I was like, this would be a very nice implementation for the project that I am working on right now. For some reason that didn't go through, but now that with KeokeN I saw the opportunity to push this here, and for me as an advice to indie is once you have the suit, just use it, because the funny thing is, like also the example that I given, you never know what you need. I've done so many animations with the suit that I didn't think that I actually needed, that I at some point said like, oh, I have actually a really nice library right now of hundreds of animations that I can just use at my disposal for whenever it needs. And we just call them the general animations, but these have saved me like already for a few times now. So that's, I think, very valuable information as well. Yeah.
I loved it. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jill, for being here. Thank you for finding the time. I know you're busy making Deliver Us Mars, our upcoming game, which all of you can wishlist and pre-order right now. Go to deliverusmars.com and find out more about our upcoming game. And for that game, we used the Xsens motion capture suit. Among other things that helped us do some motion capture. And we really want to thank the company for making it, because it makes Jill's and our animators work much easier. It's a lot of fun to use, as you've seen from the footage that we've shown before. And most importantly, thank you, Stefan, for finding the time to come and talk to us today, to educate us about the company, about the technology, about the future. I've personally learned quite a lot today, things that I never thought were possible. Now if somebody asks me things about motion capture, I'd be like, not a pro, but there are a couple of things I know, and they know how it works. So yeah, it was an absolute pleasure. So if there are a couple of things that you want to say to our audience before we say goodbye, go ahead.
I would say, again, the sky's the limit. Your imagination is what drives you, and I think that is something that our systems will empower you in doing so. And that's I mean, keep on making great games, keep on making great content. I mean, that's what drives the world, right? Making people happy.
Yeah, and for me, just keep on animating. Like even for smaller people, it's kind of like the blank canvas. You're starting somewhere, and not try to compare yourself to people, and just be happy. Just jump in the suit, go play, and have a good time, because you never know where it lands. But never give up.
And for me, I just want to thank everybody for being here, for watching this. If you're watching this as a recording later on, I hope that it was entertaining for you, also useful. I hope we could educate you on some of the things today, because that's what the industry talks are for. Thank you for being here with us. Thank you for watching. It was a pleasure, and we will see you next time. Bye.